This is a modern retelling of the classic portmanteau British horror films like The Amicus that we all know and love.
Yeah.
How proud were you in embody that tradition, and maybe also a little intimidated in walking in the shoes of Peter Cushing or Christopher Lee?
I was very pleased to be making a film that was anything like those, because I'd worked with Andy Nyman. We had done a film together, and he said, "I'm going to send you this script." And so he sent it, and immediately I could tell what sort of film it, what style of film it was. As you say, it's the kind of Amicus school of horror, which I grew up with. I grew up watching those on television. People of my generation, that was in Britain anyway, that was our first contact with horror. It would be on, like a double bill on a Saturday night or whatever. So I immediately recognised that this is where they were coming from, and I just loved it. I really loved it. I didn't feel intimidated because I think everyone has a right to their turn. Everyone has a right to their go of whatever it is. And no one in a million years is going to compare me to Christopher Lee or Peter Cushing anyway, so it's fine. Yeah, the whole thing, from the script to the shooting of it to when I finally saw it at a screening, it was just a joy. It was absolutely joyous because Andy and Jeremy have this in their soul. They really, it's part of their DNA, this kind of film. So.
Yeah, and this is amazing also because it was born as a play, as a theatre play.
Yeah.
Did you see the play before doing the film?
I didn't know. I think the play was on, I have a feeling that the play might have been on over the Hobbit time when I was back and forth to New Zealand for the Hobbit. So I didn't see it. I know several people who did and said it was very scary in a very enjoyable way, but they had their wits scared out of them, yeah. And having seen this film now a few times, it's lovely to watch other members of the audience scared, it's... Yeah, we need horror films.
Yeah. And it's scary also because there's more than the surface that, the jump scares and the things that you can see, because it's a film with a content. We can spoil it, but
yes,
can you say something about this?
Well, I mean, it's like those original films that we're talking about. The greatest horror in them is in oneself. It's almost always psychological, horror. It's more interesting than anything else, I think. The disproving of ghosts or the proving of ghosts or the supernatural, all those, that's fine. But the real horror, everything that is within, the devil, God, everything that is within us is the real interesting stuff, I think. Yeah. And that is contained in this film.
Absolutely. And if I'm not wrong, you were raised as Catholic, as I was. And so growing up as a kid, did you think, were you scared by some, I don't know, the other world of the devil? Because we have also an Holy Ghost, so it's a religion.
Yeah. Well, I was terrified of The Omen. I think partly a generational thing and, partly a Catholic thing. You watch The Omen and you kind of think, well, this is true. This is not, it's fiction. And I was allowed to watch it, and it was kind of an enjoyably frightening thing. But I show The Omen to my kids, and because I haven't brought them up really in any faith, I don't think, it's scary, but it doesn't have the same terror, like actual terror, because I'm not sure that they really believe in the devil anyway. Do you know what I mean? I think if you brought up with the belief that there is a devil, and then you see a very, very well-made film about the devil, that's pretty fucking scary. And I think so. You can see the craft of The Omen as a film is still intact. It's still a really good film. But I think if you haven't had that backstory in your upbringing, or if you just don't have that belief system, it doesn't pack the same punch. I was almost sorry that I hadn't brought my kids up as Catholics when I showed them The Omen, because I thought, I want you to be really terrified of this. And they were just scared instead of, you know, rigid with fear.
I understand you. For me, it was The Exorcist, and it was
Yeah.
the same with my daughter.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't believe, and
Right.
so it's different.
Yeah.
Just one little thing. So your character, you can spoil it, but it's Mike Priddle,
Yeah.
it's Riddle.
Yeah.
How fun was to work on this character? It was already in the play.
Yeah, I think so. Yes, I think so. The character is delightful because, you know, it's a darker side of, you know, my personality that I get to play and exorcise as well. And it's theatrical, you know, it's a theatrical film in some places. It's heightened, you know, because it's horror, but also, I guess, because it's based on a theatrical experience. There are some archetypes in it, you know, and there are archetypical things about Mike Priddle. You know, he's a greedy banker, he's an egomaniac, you know, he has no empathy for anybody else. And so part of you is wanting him to get his comeuppance, I suppose. But the experience of doing it was absolutely joyful. You know, Andy and Jeremy are fantastic writers and directors. It's lovely working with Andy as an actor. Because it's easy for me to forget just how good Andy is, because he's been the creator of the co-creator of this film, but actually his performance in the film is beautiful. I think it's a really lovely performance. And yeah, it was 2 weeks. I was on the film for 2 weeks, and it was 2 weeks of pure enjoyment. I loved it.